So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm really excited today because we'll get to share the journey of Ford Credit for the past 18 months, all the work, all the hard work that the team did. And at the same time, it's not easy to make a technical change at a large enterprise. We live in a socio-technical world where technology challenges are easier to solve, but when we have to apply those changes to a large enterprise, we face some real challenges. So today, we are going to just talk about how did we tackle our API transformation, what led us to think about a change as big as adopting GraphQL Federation at an enterprise. And I'm pretty sure you'll see some parallels in your journey as well, and maybe we wanted to share our learnings. I was here last year at the panel, and we did share our story about what we did in the last 8 months, and that was last year. So we thought this year, if in case we do a full-blown story, it could be really helpful for everyone. Before we go any further, I'll be taking you through this presentation, so I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Deepank Sharma. I have over 18 years of experience in the digital and platform transformation across different sectors. I've worked with finance, retail, and telecom. I've learned a great deal through the era of open source evolution. I truly believe that it expedited the way the enterprises started migrating from monolith to microservices, and then started migrating those workloads from on-prem to cloud, and then from VMs to containers. I have a bachelor's in engineering and a master's in business. I'm here representing Ford Credit. I think I do not need to introduce Ford Motor Company. You all know that it's a 121-year-old company that was founded by Henry Ford. It builds some amazing cars. Ford Credit is the financial servicing arm of the Ford Motor Company. So we have our customers in different buckets. We have our consumers. Imagine John, who loves a Mustang GT, and he wants to buy that car. At that point of time, Ford Credit comes over and tries to help John in his financing journey. We help our small and medium businesses. Think about those landscaping businesses who have multiple F-150s that they drive all throughout our neighborhoods to help us keep our landscapes look amazing and beautiful over weeks and months. If they need any financing help, Ford Credit helps those customers as well, and the dealers. We help keep our dealers maintain financial competitiveness in the market and helping our customers indirectly. Our aspiration at Ford Credit is to be amongst the top 10 fintech companies. A fintech company, for those who don't know, is a company that uses softwares and cloud services to provide financial services to its customers. I would like to just talk about 4 important things. One of them is what led us to exploring a solution in the API stack that we already had at Ford Credit. And then what were the different technical factors that actually we were trying to solve for in order to get a new solution on the table. And then, since I said that we live in a socio-technical world, once we decided that this is how we're going to solve it, then comes the real challenge. How do you get organizational buy-in across different pockets of your organization? Architects, engineers, products, senior leaderships, developers, and rally the whole team to go and make that change happen. Jumping into the growing digital footprint at Ford Credit. So as I explained, we have customers in different pockets. Imagine again, let's go back to John, who loves a Ford Mustang GT. He wants to buy that car. Now he goes online and he opens up the Ford Credit online credit application and he enters his details to find out what are his financing options. Once he gets, and let's say he loves that financing option, he goes to the dealership, picks up the car, and comes back to his home, parks it in his garage, and at the end of the month, he now wants to start making payments back to Ford Credit to pay for the loan or the lease that he might have got. And that's where we had different applications, and in different customer segments, as I said, because we had different customer segments of consumer, commercial. We serve different geographies like Canada and North America. So we had these different versions of account manager web application, through which Ford Credit customers interacted with us. Last year, we also decided that we are going to launch the very first Ford Credit mobile app. And we wanted to launch it in both iOS as well as Android app stores. We were not just trying to help our customers with the financial servicing, also not just helping them get do self-service on their accounts. But we were launching brand new products. So we were launching a commercial insurance product last year called Ford Pro Insure into the market as well. So now this was a key moment, right? I can see. I would say that many of you could actually correlate to it. If in case you are building experiences in different customer segments, if in case you're building brand new products, if in case you're modernizing the way your experience looks and put it into the hands of the customers. So that brought us to the API part. We need to build that API stack to fuel all these amazing experiences and bring that iterative value of launching new products or building those products incrementally, get the feedback, and then build over again. So the factors that we thought were really important for us to solve for at an enterprise level were, of course, we wanted to enable omni-channel experience, right? We wanted to build more personalized and faster services. We wanted a single source of truth for all experiences. So if John logs in to one application and the other, like let's say he interacts with web and then mobile app, we want to show him exactly the same thing. We also wanted a faster speed to market. We just saw the growing, and this was just a wisp of how the digital experiences were growing. So we wanted a predictable and achievable timeline to introduce even new features, because we could launch a new product, but we have to incrementally add new features into these products as well. And also, we wanted to go with a cloud-first mindset, that we wanted to shift left in our DevSecOps principles. We wanted to catch issues as early as possible in the development lifecycle, so our customers, our engineers could make those changes and deliver a quality product into the hands of our customers. Now, what good is an API stack if in case you don't have great SRE practices around it? So we definitely wanted great consistent observability and monitoring around them. Last but not the least, since I said that our aspiration was to be amongst the top 10 fintech companies, digital modernization was the first firm step in that direction. But at some point of time, we would also modernize all the domain systems, the platforms that we've got, which are fueling those experiences as well. So we wanted to enable this layered transformation with one not having a direct impact on the other. And we did not know when the enterprise would decide for one or the other, or maybe for both, we don't know. So if you look at a typical API landscape, of course, 3-tier architecture, you have your digital experiences, you have the orchestration layer, and then you have your domains and platforms. Think about all the domain APIs you've got. We got mainframe systems, DB2 systems, event-driven systems, SQLs, NoSQLs. You can just think about it. And we had this strategy of one application, one BFF, worked pretty, awesome, no problems whatsoever. But then when we said that we are going to have more experiences built out, of course, the BFFs the team would start building more and more BFFs. So everyone gets their own BFF. But at the same time, since we looked at all the different digital experiences that were coming in the pipeline, our experience teams also wanted to change the architecture. We have seen building giant web models and web applications and shipping them into production. Teams later on moved to single-page applications. And then the latest buzzword came into the industry, which is called the micro-front-end architecture. Now, as soon as you move to micro-front-end architecture, you would necessarily mean that you could have potential BFF explosion in the company, where now the API sprawl is going to get more real. The API governance is going to become more and more challenging. And then if you look on the right, anything that changes on the right, you have to go make changes in all of these layers. And you can just think about the chaos that might have ensued. At this point of time, the team started exploring, the architecture team started exploring the different options that are there on the table. One buzzword came in, and by the way, at this point of time itself, we had almost 15,000 plus REST endpoints published on our API gateway. So the challenge was real, and we did not want to scale it further. So now we started looking at how a GraphQL Federation could solve all of these problems, right? So if in case we look at all the demand that's there on the left from the experiences, and we could actually be very disciplined about creating one single schema that could cover all the experience needs, We could say that, yes, we got customers who wants to manage their accounts. Those accounts, they want to come and post payments using certain banking APIs. And then they want to manage their vehicles and probably add insurance on them. Now, this could form that declarative, composable, and a standardized way for the experiences to define their demand. And we could actually do that through a single API stack. Now, if you look at on the right, for instance, if in case I just define in the schema the first name and last name of the customer. Today, it might come from domain API A. Tomorrow, that domain API might be deployed on-prem, but day after tomorrow, it might go to cloud. But it can also change the SQL that it used to NoSQL. Now, whatever that happens on the right, we saw that this middle tier could actually act as that insulating layer of saving our experiences and the domains from intermingling their modernization journeys. So if you look at all the factors that were actually important for us, we saw that this could solve a lot of challenges for us for future. This could future-proof all the investment that we were making in our digital channels and also help us modernize our back-end domains, platform systems without impacting one or the other. So that was the technical part, right? Easier to solve, easier to get buy-in in your own minds. But now comes the biggest part, which is the social aspect of it. Now is the time when you need to start aligning the stakeholders. You got to align the leadership and the developers. So the first and most important part that we did was to start identifying the stakeholders. And mind you, these are people irrespective of their job titles. These are not high level executives. These could be developers. These could be architects. These could be product people. Who knows what's coming? Who understands the problem statement alongside you? For instance, when you talk to any of the architects and you show them this picture, they know the API governance is going to be a problem in future. If you talk to the product teams, you know that they already have got a lot of products in the pipeline for the next 1 year to 2 years, and they really want to launch them faster to market. And when you talk to the experience teams, they want to evolve their experience architecture to match that product strategy, and they'll connect with everything that you want to do with a federated GraphQL model. Last but not the least, since I talked about those 15,000 plus REST endpoints published on the API gateway, and that goes to the internet, your attack vector on the security is pretty huge. So you would find these people in like every pocket. You could talk to them. Maybe like you have 10 architects, but 3 would directly tie with your vision. They'll directly see the value that you're talking about. Now, once we had this, we at Ford Credit, we had people in all of these pockets who just understood, who just, as soon as we spoke to them, they rallied with the idea that, yes, this is a very, very valuable problem, and we need to solve for it. Once we align all the stakeholders, the next thing is the developer buy-in. How do you rally the team, which is day in, day out, building new features, supporting production, right? They are neck deep in solving a lot of Jira tickets every single day. They already have a roadmap. How do you get them to buy in? Because, by the way, this is the team that's going to make it happen for you. This is the team that's going to win games for you in the next few years. So I've been part of a few enterprises, and every enterprise wants their employees to succeed, but they just not only ask them to define what they're going to do, but how they're going to do it as well. So they want to model certain behaviors, which is part of the company's culture. Ford itself is a 121-year-old company. We have our own culture. We are very proud of it. So we have something called Ford OS behaviors defined at Ford that we want every employee to model. And there is a behavior called bias for action, right? What does it mean? It says that we need to be on our mission. We need to take smart risks. And we need to be agile and anticipate change. Now just think about everything that I said before. And we spoke to all the developers. They could look at that. This is clearly modeling our Ford OS behavior, that we want to be on our mission to be the top 10 fintech company. We want to take smarter risks by unplugging whatever we have today, plugged into the experience, and try something new. We were anticipating a change, and we were being agile about it. So this had a direct connection with the developers. Second, every enterprise, again, wants their employees to learn new technology. We encourage everybody to learn something new, cloud, API stacks and whatnot. At Ford Credit, we did an exercise. We added a learning objective last year, first quarter, to say by the end of this quarter, we need this team to be completely certified on GraphQL Federation, both associate and professional. Now, this is a team that is living the pain in production. When they just did the associate certification, and great engineers have one thing in common. When they touch a new software and they know that this is going to solve great problems for them, they just know. They identify it. There is a pattern recognition already inbuilt in them. Now, when they did the first certification, within a month, everybody came back to me and said, oh, we are like professionally certified. We understand that this could be that game changer that could solve all the problems that we were talking about for the past 6 months. And next is celebrate. You got to find those key moments to celebrate with the team. You just cannot have 20 people get certified and just leave it across. You got to make noise about it. You got to send out emails to the senior leadership to say, what did this team achieve? They're directly talking about modeling the learning objectives. They're talking about they're satisfying the growth mindset. Not only that, they're actually modeling the Ford OS behaviors too. And then you got to reward them. Reward them in terms of identifying these people, giving them recognition in front of the organization. And once that happens, the next thing is the key meetings with the senior leadership. We timed an email, and this is a secret recipe. We timed an email about the certification of our developers right before a key meeting where we had our CTOs and all the senior leadership. And then they had to talk about it. They asked us to talk about it. And that was a key moment. That was a game changer because now we could talk to them about why this team got certified first. What was the business use case that we were trying to solve? We had all the influences that we talked about, in the beginning of the talk, already present in the meeting, and they rallied behind you. And then you talk about the culture, and then you talk about the preparedness, because you have a team who's ready to go. We know the problem statement, we have organizational buy-in in pockets, and we know what to do. And the most important thing is the plan. You've got to have a plan. Which brings me to the next section, which is the most important part. I would like you to pay attention to it is you want to build big, you want to think big, but you want to start small, but not too small. Rome was not built in a day, but you got to identify the right use case. It just cannot be a small micro front end in one app, which is insular, and you just do a GraphQL POC over it, and you just say, that's a good success. You've got to identify the right use case in your company, in the enterprise, and then have that iterative value to build in more and more day over day, week over week, month over month, to pull in the whole enterprise model, as we just talked about earlier, into the GraphQL schema to satisfy all your experience requirements as much as you can. For instance, in our case, I talked about the account manager. We had these different segments of account manager, in different geographies, and so on and so forth. So we started with Account Manager Canada. That could clearly help us in defining the schema for our customers, their accounts, and their vehicles. Once we did that, we saw when we started talking to the next team, which was the mobile app team, which was formed last year, they could clearly see that, all right, you've already built 60% of the things that I need. All right, can you add one more? And then we move on to the next team and the next team, and it's just that incremental value that you add to the same set of schema, and you just keep iterating over it. And then the demos. The demos are very important. And I've had this question for the past, in the beginning, that how do you demo an API stack, right? Of course, you can show the experience. You could do a lot more. But remember this. If you design your schema right, if you have your experience calling those schemas correctly, you will always see a lot of performance gains in the experience. You will see your P98 response times improve. You'll see your P95 response times improve. Now, whenever that happens, if you implement the parallel data fetching, shaving off, it'll keep shaving off a lot of time And the experiences will keep on getting the benefit, and the customer experience is going to improve too. Last but not the least, celebrate. This is your marketing moment. The moment you launch one application to production, you got to go celebrate. This will get attention of all the teams who are sitting on the fence and who are thinking, Graph might not be right for me, right? But when they come and engage with you, because you're now piquing their interest by celebrating, they'll come to you and they'll ask you the question, all right, I have these requirements. I have these 50 fields that I need for my experiences. I need these 10 APIs that I need on the, through the backends. And that's the moment, and you're going to say, mostly it's in the graph, but the incremental value will definitely add it for you. I would like to share what we have done in the past 18 months at Ford Credit. How does the API landscape or our experienced tiers look as of now? We've migrated all the major applications or built the new products that we were trying to launch on the GraphQL Federation, including the mobile app as well as Ford Pro Insure. We have not just added new experiences, but our development team kept on adding new features, new tools to our toolkit, to the GraphQL ecosystem, and they do it iteratively every month, every quarter. They're learning new stuff and they're adding new things into our toolkit. So today, to talk about two of those tools, Instant Mock and narrative-driven development, I would like to invite Samuel Combs, who is a platform engineer, and he'll take us through the rest of the journey. Sam?
Thanks, Deepank. Thank you very much. I'm just going to quickly... So Ford Credit did it right. I'm telling you right now. I really, give yourself a hand. It is an amazing example of picking the right time to onboard into this technology. 1 second. Okay. Shared understanding. Super hard. Did you ever get 80 people in the room and have a super productive meeting where you go home and you literally feel like you know how to conquer the world? And then tomorrow, it changes. So someone spent 4 hours, crafting the meeting notes, and now where are they? And we have to go figure them out. There's 5 versions. You ever built a feature on the wrong version of the document that told you to build it, and you shipped it to prod, and you have to unwind? This hurts, but it also costs money and time. Chaos is really all around us in these systems. Delay, slow developer feedback cycles. We want to onboard onto this graph. The technology's so fast. I can spin up a service in a minute. It's got all your observability, all your security. I can use AI to make a new micro front end that looks exactly like our competitors and better in half the time. So what? You can ship code all you want, but if you're shipping the wrong code, you're destroying your business. Glue people. So does anyone have that one person in your organization who can unblock everything? Just call them at 2 a.m. I know we're training that team to do it, but they can do it. Just call Steve. Call Steve. Oh, no, Steve quit. Where is Steve's brain? With Steve. So, what do we do? Google Docs. No, just kidding. How do you bridge the gap between the technical and the social? That's why we created narrative-driven development. We've been trying to solve these problems for a long time, 2.5 years straight, pretty much day and night. 2022, we took event storming, DDD, we fused it with the supergraph, we tidied up domain boundaries. 2023, we saw the front-end teams not getting enough love, so we developed schema storming as a collaborative way to define a query with product, design, engineering, actually in the same room agreeing. But it wasn't really enough. So we developed narrative-driven development to sort of encompass this socio-technical transformation that you need to do in your organization.
Well, the easiest way to tell you about narrative is to show you. So let's dive in. So this system here has a capability of purchasing products online. So you can see, we can define that journey. We've got to search for products, browse product inventory, view a product, add a product to a cart, and check out. We've all seen that before, but let's see how narrative has a little bit of a different take on modeling these requirements. let's dig into the search for products experience. So you can see here, the end result is that Joe wants to find a product. Well, he needs to enter a search term, and he gets results displayed to him. You can also see a place where we can include interfaces to power this experience and backing systems. You can even dig into those systems and see even more details about how those systems work. So let's check out the experience of viewing a product. So here we have a pretty simple narrative here. Joe's going to view that product page, and we need some system that can fetch a product, and we're going to need an interface that's a product details page. So one cool feature of narrative is the ability to have your specs for either your front-end or back-end systems right in the same place that you're modeling your requirements. So you can see the front-end spec, and we'll check the back-end spec here. So let's go a little further here, though. The UI team is done with their mock-up, and you might remember this from last year, my talk last year, where I was annotating the query with a collaborative method where you could have product and design and engineering in the same room talking about these requirements. So last year we were proposing that as a solution. Well, over this last year, we actually built it into our software. So I'm happy to show you that feature. So let's add a query here. We'll call it the product details query. And we'll throw it on our product details page. Let's dig into that. So you'll see over here this annotate design feature. So let's get our swag shop image here, throw it on the canvas, and we'll make it a little bigger. And over here we have a connection to Apollo Studio. So you can select your graph, and you can select any one of your variants. We'll stick with current right now. So let's start annotating some fields. So we can take a field, we'll drag it on, and we'll see. Do we have a title in our schema? Looks like we do. So we'll select that. So check out the query editor over on the right. It automatically reacts and stays updated depending on what fields you've annotated on the left. So let's keep going. Do we have a price? We do. We have a couple different options, but that exists in our schema. Great. So you can also explore your schema from the query builder. So we can check out other options to add, and when you add it over here, you see it appears over here. So we can actually bring that over to where it goes. So I have a pre-built query. Imagine if you spent the next 15 minutes, you could probably flesh out this whole query. Well, let me just pull my query. And we'll throw it in here. So check that out. All those fields just appeared and can be dragged to exactly where they need to go. So let's run that query. Check it out. We're getting our data back from our current variant. It's everything that you would expect. But you know what? Our design specifies a description, but I'm pretty sure I heard from the backend engineers that we don't actually support the description field yet. So let's add it. You can see when you add a field that doesn't exist, instead of just getting an error, which we do get an error, and we understand why, we can create what's called an instant mock. Instant mock is an open source library that we have built on top of an existing open source library called GQMock, developed by the Wayfair Incubator open source group. And we've powered it up with Federation, and we have made it so smart that it automatically creates a proposal that fulfills the requirements for all those missing fields without you having to click anything other than edit the query yourself. So now that we have a schema proposal, we can check out what response we get back. And you'll see up here, instead of current, now it's selecting the schema proposal that was just generated. So I'll run that query, and look at that. We're getting all fake data back. So that's how Instant Mock works. But I've prepared a seed of how I would like that data to come back, so I can go get that. So we can copy this in, and you can see that we have a description field here, and we got some text. So we'll seed that data. And then we're going to go over to our locally running swag shop, and you can see the current state of it is that there's no description found because, like we said, there was no back-end system to deliver that description. So now let's go ahead and point our swag store to, instead of the current variant, we'll go grab the link here that we get. We get an auto-generated mock server URL. We can just copy that endpoint, go into our code, and we can add that as our endpoint. We'll save that. We've got to go over here and make sure we add the new description field. And we can go back to our swag shop and see what happened. Check that out. So my development server in the back end is just listening for changes, and instantly when I added that description field, we get our mock data. But how can I prove to you that that's actually the mock data? Well, let's go make some changes. So I'll change the price. I'll make that sweatshirt pretty expensive. Go back over here, refresh the page, and you can see changes on the page. So you can see the power that the integration between Instant Mock and Narrative Studio gives you, the developers, to get product, design, and engineering in the same room is just amazing. In the time it takes you, literally, to type this sentence, you can have that fast feedback in those development cycles, and you never had to touch a schema.
Thank you so much.